All right, folks, we ended the last video talking about AV valves, the left AV valve, the right AV valve, so on and so forth. We're going to go ahead and move on to, wait, no, we already talked about semilunar valves as well. Well, how to get back that far? Who knows? Okay, so let's talk about the blood supply to the heart. Okay, we've talked about blood supply that goes from the heart to the lungs, and we've talked about the blood supply that goes from the heart to the body. And now we need to also understand that there's a blood supply that goes from the heart to the heart, which sounds weird, but remember that our heart is an organ in itself, okay? It takes more than just blood entering the heart to be pumped away to other things, okay? There are blood vessels which actually surround the heart itself that supply blood to the heart, okay? That so that it can have the oxygen that it needs to actually beat, okay? It says that it's provided by the right and left coronary arteries, which branch off from the base of the aorta and then encircle the heart in what's called the atrioventricular groove, okay? It says coronary arteries branch off from the base of the aorta. You've got the right coronary artery, which is right. What view are we looking at? So my aorta. So here's my right coronary artery right here. Okay. Your right coronary artery is then going to branch off into the posterior interventricular artery, which goes around to the back of the heart, and the right marginal artery as well, which is going to wrap around the front. Okay. You've also got the left coronary artery, which is this fellow right here. That's going to break off into the anterior interventricular artery, anterior meaning on the anterior side. So your anterior interventricular artery is going to go along the front side, and then you're going to end up with the circumflex artery, which circumducts around to the back side of the heart. Okay, so it was right coronary artery, left coronary artery. Right coronary breaks off into the right marginal artery on the front, and the posterior interventricular on the back. Okay. The left coronary artery breaks off into the anterior interventricular artery, and then the circumflex artery back into the back. Here's another view that gives you another view of the circumflex. The left coronary artery, which kind of comes back, goes back into here, and the anterior interventricular artery. Then you've got your right coronary artery, which breaks off into the marginal artery, so on and so forth. This gives you a view from the back end where you can see the posterior interventricular artery, so on and so forth. This also gives you an interesting look at the back side of the heart, the posterior side of the heart, okay? Says the heart is drained by several cardiac veins. So if we take blood to the heart, we've got to take blood from the heart back to the heart again. Wait, what? Yeah, so all of those arteries, okay, for every artery there must be a vein, okay, and because if we take blood somewhere, we've got to get it back to the heart. So that's going to be where we're going to find our cardiac veins, okay, and our cardiac veins are going to take that used blood. Remember, used blood is going to go back to the heart, and then that's going to empty into the coronary sinus, which is going to dump back into the right atrium, okay, so these veins are the only veins in the entire body that don't dump into the vena caves. Okay, these are going to dump into the coronary sinus. The coronary sinus then dumps into the right atrium, and then into the right ventricle, and then out through the pulmonary trunk, pulmonary arteries, to the lungs, pulmonary veins, to the left atrium, down into the left ventricle, out the aorta, and to the rest of the body. Okay, easy as pie. So your cardiac veins, okay? Remember we had cardiac arteries, we've got cardiac veins as well. We've got the great cardiac vein, which is this fella here. Okay, we've got the anterior cardiac vein. We've got the small cardiac vein. We've got the middle cardiac vein. Okay, so your small cardiac vein is here. Your middle cardiac vein is way back here. Okay, the middle cardiac vein is on the posterior side of the heart. This gives you another look at the great cardiac vein here, the anterior cardiac vein, the small cardiac vein, so on and so forth. Remember, the middle cardiac vein is on the back side of the heart. Here goes your coronary sinus right here, which we remember from a couple of slides ago. The coronary sinus is going to dump into the right atrium, and then we can do our thing from there. Okay. Labeling the heart. Okay. This was in your reading guide. This is very important. Make sure that you label, I believe the instruction said to label some things red and some things blue. All of the oxygen poor uh, areas should be labeled in blue. All the oxygen rich things should be labeled in red. Okay. So this gives you a key that you can use to color all this stuff in. There it is. Pause when you need to. Here's all this stuff. You need to know all of these for your cardiovascular practical. You need to know them all for your quizzes and all that stuff. We're going to also do an activity in class, which is going to be a blood flow activity, which you're going to find to be amazing fun. And that's it. So, yeah, have a great time.